Most travelers book a hotel hoping for a quiet, peaceful night's sleep. But a growing segment of the tourism industry relies on guests who want the exact opposite. People are actively paying premium rates to sleep in rooms verified to be haunted by restless spirits. At Kinnitty Castle in County Kerry, guests check in specifically hoping to encounter a phantom named Hilda. She's known to leave a specific calling card, the sudden, overwhelming scent of fresh, blooming roses filling the main staircase and library, even in the freezing dead of winter when no flowers are present. In Irish folklore, these locations have a name: thin places. They are physical, geographical spots on the map where the barrier separating our human world from the spirit realm is thin, allowing doorways to occasionally open between the two. We spend our vacations seeking out the very thing we spend our daily lives trying to avoid. By booking a night in a thin place, we are deliberately stepping toward the idea of an afterlife bleeding into our reality. That same curiosity drives an entire genre of modern storytelling, pulling these historical concepts off the map and onto the big screen. The horror film Hokum plays directly on this trope. It follows a troubled American author, played by Adam Scott, who retreats to an isolated Irish hotel to escape his past. Instead of finding peace, he encounters a local witch who drags lost souls into a nightmarish afterlife, forcing him to confront his own deep-seated guilt. The movie builds tension by using fictional cinematic jump scares to represent the very real historical folklore that surrounds these isolated properties. This leaves us with a lingering question. Are these supernatural stories simply manufactured tourist traps and cinematic hokum? Or is there something specific to the history of the Irish landscape that breeds these entities? To understand why the land is steeped in spirits, we must look at how people survived on it. The rural landscape was dotted with clachans. A clachan was a tightly packed survival village, born out of necessity in an unforgiving climate. Survival required an extreme level of integration. To protect cattle from harsh weather and provide ambient heat, families brought their livestock indoors. These humanized byres were longhouses, where animals were quartered at one end and the human living space, centered around a constantly burning fire, was at the other. Outside the longhouse, the density only increased. These cottages were built right on top of each other, connected by narrow pathways just wide enough for 2 cows to pass. This layout made daily interaction unavoidable and household privacy effectively non-existent. Living that closely to others naturally bred friction. As a defense, villagers built massive turf and dung heaps directly outside their front doors. These piles provided fuel for the fire, but they also acted as physical barriers to block the view of passing neighbors, who might attempt to curse the family by throwing an evil eye. The physical realities and total claustrophobia of clachan life created a psychological pressure cooker. In a world defined by the elements and shared vulnerability, supernatural beliefs became an essential daily survival mechanism. Out of this shared communal anxiety came the puka, in local lore, an invisible nature spirit inhabiting the surrounding landscape. They were rational beings watching over the shared land and demanding total respect. Belief in the puka functioned as a primitive environmental protection agency. Because villagers believed these spirits shared their physical reality, they avoided abusing local natural resources out of fear of supernatural retribution or a devastating curse falling upon their entire families. While the puka protected the land, other spirits carried much darker burdens. The Banshee is a terrifying Irish elemental spirit, often associated with the most important families. Appearing as a wailing woman with red hair, the Banshee acted as a communal alarm system. Her shrieks were an early warning sign, sounding off to alert a family that a death was imminent, or that a loved one far away at war had died. These monsters provided the commune with a practical way to enforce rules, share grief, and process the dark. They were functional tools used to make sense of an unforgiving world. The fictionalized guilt that haunts the protagonist in Hokum is a modern reflection of this mechanism. The ghosts that reportedly haunt Ireland's castle hotels today are rooted in the real human tragedies of the people who lived there. Take Ross Castle. The spirit there is said to be Sabina, who watched her lover drown in a storm during their attempt to elope. Guests today report waking up in absolute panic in their rooms, experiencing the echoes of her desperate loss centuries later. This forced closeness transformed individual grief into a permanent part of the local history. In the Clachan, no one suffered alone, which meant no tragedy was ever truly forgotten. When memories, grief, and guilt become too heavy for a single person to carry, the geographical land itself begins to carry them instead. So if you book a room and spend the night in a truly thin place, what would happen when the unyielding weight of that history finally bleeds into your present moment? Whether you believe in the shriek of a banshee or the scent of a phantom rose, these mysteries serve a purpose. They force us to pause and respect the unseen weight